If somebody wants to come in and public comment, you can actually do it now.
Like that's what Randy's doing right now.
So I think that's
Just
great.
like anyone else would do.
So that kind of solved a bunch of things here. And we're all sitting level, Pat. We're all sitting level.
And also, you can also hear.
Yeah, so one of the things we can do, I think, and you can trigger closed captioning so you can see
That'd be great.
what we're saying. You want to put that on
Yes.
while we go?
That'd be excellent.
So we're gonna try a bunch of different things. but-
But this is like an experiment, so it doesn't have to be perfect night. So that's all right. We're at 5:59, so we're gonna get it in here.
That's good.
It works reasonably well, so if we do about
I like
time
that.
hearing everything, I think that helps a little bit.
How's it feeling?
The video and everything is from this gizmo, they call it the owl, because I guess it kind of looks like an owl. As you talk, it has cameras in it that'll sort of find you. And that's how
We're
it
gonna have
works.
some mics in front of us or anything.
So you don't have to have that, and we're gonna see tonight afterwards how the playback and everything works. So
So it must
basically,
be, we could close this.
pretty much.
yeah, you've got 15 seconds. We need a countdown. Oh, geez, you gotta get a countdown.
We now get another call for a countdown.
Do your own countdown.
You are being recorded, so when I start already, so whenever you're ready.
So I guess we're ready. So let's go ahead and bring the, Monday, August 19th meeting of Greater Augusta Utility District to order. We're here in our new, meeting space at 18 Arsenal Street, down the district property here in Augusta. Many thanks to our office person, Randy Taylor, for getting it set up for us and getting it going. A lot of hard work by many people here, not just Randy and her team and everybody. So really pleased to see this come together. I know she has Brian and Andy and everybody. So thank you so much for doing this. This is something I've been looking for a long time. We all sit level now, and I think that's how it should be. So anyway, let's start out tonight with some introductions, and we'll start with trustees, and we'll start with Bob first.
Bob Corey, Augusta trustee.
Pat Harity, Augusta trustee. Cecil Munson, Augusta trustee.
On Kent Knight, Augusta trustee, we had some people not here tonight. Kristen and Brad could not be here tonight due to some work commitments. And Carrie could not be here tonight, and we're still looking for, and Powell's about to appoint somebody to replace Charlotte, so we're down to that. So let's next consultants tonight.
Alan Burton, Human Resource Consultant.
Mary?
She's muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, she can unmute though.
Oh, don't tell me.
Can you unmute her? Or does she have to go? Stand by, Mary.
All right, try unmuting now.
We heard it once tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
Show's muted up on the thing, doesn't it? Isn't it out there?
she went unmuted for a split second. Try again.
Okay. Hi, you had me muted, Brian muted me. He's been dying to do that for years. Good evening, everybody. I'm Meredith Strang Burgess, public relations, or actually say communications consultant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Let's start now with Mike for employees tonight, and kind of goes back row too.
Mike Payne, finance director. John Cummins, assistant chief engineer.
Andy Egan, assistant general manager.
And I'm Brian Tarbuck, general manager.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I don't believe there's any other agenda additions there, Brian.
I don't believe so.
Okay, let's move it into old business and approval of the meeting minutes.
Quick question, Brian. Now, is Alan Murray a guest or is it a consultant? Yes.
He's a consultant.
He's both. Yeah, okay, because I just wanted to say he was a guest in the minutes. Yeah, it's, I mean, he's not a member of the board or a formal employee, so yeah. I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Here's a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All opposed? It passes. Let's move on now to the rate committee updates, and we'll start out first, Brian. I know that there was some calls last week and things of that nature. Go ahead.
Basically, I'll just go through and I'll let Brian pick up with Dave Fox, and because he put it on the deal with material sent out where you could go in and listen to that whole meeting that they had out there. But to me, that was a great presentation by Dave on that stuff. Again, just to point out to everybody, this is what this rate thing is doing, and we should review at a minimum every 5 years on that normal stuff. This is something that would be for 2026, not for 2025, because it's going to take them several months to go through this stuff. Mike's got to be working with them to get numbers, and Brian going back and forth with them. So it's going to take them 2 to 3 months or so, which will not get us in place for the 2025 budget, because we want that approved in December, at the latest one now.
So we did have some calls this week. I think Randy sent that email out to get some calls. And I think it was an email string going back and forth. I know Brian was certainly on vacation, but probably spread them down. And should we be, I think Meredith, you chimed in on some of this about, should we the next couple of mail, put something in the mail, next couple of months, just to kind of, I mean, what was this? There was something at the radio and people wanted to see. We said we should send that. Maybe we should just over communicate that for the next couple of bill cycles. But Meredith, you're on mute. Should you come off mute? I don't know if you want to put some input in here, you're more than welcome.
I think one of the things that was presented at the hearings was the factor was they weren't getting all the information. And what Brian's done for us and put all this stuff, the agendas now on there, they actually get to see everything that we talk about, the charts and deals, and then go back and read the minutes. Then they understand what was being discussed because they have all the material in front of them. They say they didn't have all the material on that thing. So I think Brian putting that stuff out and put in the website has been very beneficial to show how.
Meredith, what was you said something to me about maybe we should do something on the next couple of bill cycles or.
Yeah. So here's what we've done. We had a stuffer, an insert in the bills that went out mid-July, and are sort of hitting, it was the July insert. So the bills hit like the second week of the month. So they were, they're sort of almost still out there. We haven't, so the stuffer for August, we don't have one, but what Randy did was put a note on all the bills. We can print on the bottom of the bill, and I believe she was driving them to the website page where we have the full explanation of rates. I seem to remember, Brian, she said she'd received about 30 or 35 phone calls when the bills were first received, and I guess that has died off at this point. So I think we can proceed with a new insert for September.
Yeah, it died down some, but there were quite a few today that I could hear them talk. I'm not sure how many, but people are definitely asking, but the girls, the ladies explain it well.
Oh, there's Randy.
Yeah.
Let Randy say something.
Randy, we're talking, I don't know if you heard all that. We're talking about,
Yep.
Go ahead, so.
Yep. So Mike was correct. We got a lot of phone calls last week, but I think today we had more phone calls in one day than we did for quite a few days last week. To be honest, when they would ask why were we raising our rates, I went back to the website and went directly to the stuffer and read it to them. So that came in handy.
Well, I'm glad we said the same
Or-
thing all the time. That's great.
I think we do need to send another stuffer or to do something else. Again, just because not everybody looks at their stuffers and it's hard because a lot of people's consumption is up right now because it's the height of the summertime. So it's not only their consumption is higher, but the rates increased.
Mhm. Well, we could just rerun the same stuffer.
Yeah.
For the September bills, or where am I? Yes, September bills.
Probably, I think that's a good idea.
Easy to do.
Brian, not Brian, pay it to him. Whatever you think, I mean.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I defer to the people in customer service to figure out what questions folks have and how we can best answer them. But I think it has been a hot and muggy summer, and we've seen the production from the wells go up. So it makes sense that due in large part because people are probably taking more showers and doing more things outside and using more water if it doesn't rain too often. We're getting intense rains, but not kind of slow and steady rain. So if you've got a garden going, you want to keep going. It's going to be expensive. Topping off the pool when it's 90 out is more expensive than last year when it was not 90 out. So I think all those things conspired. I think Randy's exactly right that we generally don't read the things that we get in our mail from CMP, and I don't think we're any different despite all efforts to the contrary. So I know the ladies in the office do an exceptional job of making sure that folks are aware and understand, and I think we're doing the best we can. So I would say by next month, we should have a good understanding of what we need to tell people. Of course.
Very pleased. What a long way we've come. So much nicer being able to talk like this than some of the stuff we used to have to do in the past. So much appreciated. So, Bob.
Just, remind everybody, remain the ratepayers, what we're looking for and presenting the 2025 budget. By October 21st, we want to present the draft numbers at that regular meeting. October 23rd, 2 days later, can be presented at the planning meeting. November 18th, we're going to present it at the regular meeting, and then December 16th, we're going to vote on that budget for that thing regularly right there. And also a reminder, the budget's going to be presented to show how the discussions on how adjusting rates is impacted by both O&M versus the CIP budget. And that's all the stuff we're going to do. And the regular committee will meet again before the September meeting.
Excellent. Mike, anything else? I can see you're going to be ready. I think it by the statement here, so good. That's good news. Cecil, Pat, anything on any other comments? No. Let's move on then to project updates. With,
Ken?
Yep. No more.
Brian, will you just give a brief update on what Dave Fox is talking about on what he's trying
I'm
to say?
sorry.
Yeah, Greg, we met with Dave. If you weren't able to see that video or whatever, we can send that link directly to you. It's in the electronic version of the board minutes. It was emailed to everyone. If you had a paper copy, and that's normally how you look at it, and that link wouldn't work, obviously, paper version. Only if you want to see what we talked about at that meeting. In short, everybody is faced with the same kinds of troubles that we are in terms of trying to mitigate the need for higher rates by caused by inflation post-pandemic. So we're all in this together. Dave reiterated that utilities in particular were hit hard by the rate. So what we pay for bread and those sorts of things in our day-to-day lives aren't quite they're not going up as fast as we've seen pumps and motor controllers and really rare things along those lines. And so I'm still waiting for a proposal from him. He said he was going to turn that around fairly quickly, and I haven't got it yet. So I let him know before I went on vacation later Wednesday. Got to get it through me by noon. Didn't get it. Still haven't got it. So I sent him a reminder email today. Hopefully we'll get that. So what Raft Ellis will do is provide a rate study that looks at our drinking water, sewer, and stormwater rates, and look at all the different assumptions that have gone into those. I think the short version is he was impressed with the board's actions to date to make sure that we've stayed current with our rates. We haven't gone 10 years without a rate increase. We've made the necessary adjustments to ensure that we can continue to provide a high level of service that folks demand. And he was impressed with that. He said oftentimes folks come to them sort of at their wit's end, that they haven't made adjustments in a long time, and the rates are 100% or 120%. So, or folks just don't do anything. He thought that looking at how our rates structured at a very high level was fairly good already. And he said that most other utilities across the country and even outside of the US were of course looking at ways to try to lessen the impact on the most vulnerable customers and try to push that more on the larger customers that are more likely to be able to pay those bills. So the takeaway for me was that we're in fairly good company in terms of all the other folks out there, that we're not unique, and we're in fact doing better than a lot. And now we're just waiting to see that proposal executed and then move forward, hopefully with the results. Probably by December. Was that the same message you guys were getting? So
and Raft Ellis we've used in the past, so they're not going to have to reinvent we have staff to work for us, but we've used them and it makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate those comments because I think that management and trustees have done a good job. It's hard. And I will tell you a real life story from today. I won't mention who the town is, but it's the town here in the coast. They had an engineering firm come in and kind of do a plan right out, and they needed an immediate $25 million to do stuff because they had not done rates and all that, and the trustees just turned down a $5 million thing they have to do, and it's because they haven't done this stuff. And they can say, well, trustees don't know what, well, they haven't done this. And now you gotta have somebody come in and say, you know, we get no close it. It's tough, and again, try to be nice to the residents as well, but they're in deep trouble. Deep trouble, and it's a very wealthy town, they're in deep trouble. Just that's what's going on around us, and I could probably tell you about 100 more of those too, but that was today's meeting, and I sat there afterwards and going, you don't understand how good we do stuff here. I keep saying this, but this district does things very, very well. And I you can take some of the biggest names of districts around this area. We've already done that for the last 10 years, and they're just getting it. But
Just one final thing on the rate committee, you know, in your package, you got pages 13, 14, and 15. Mike put together some very, very preliminary numbers in regards to the budget, and it shows the actual and the proposed for 2025. And on that thing is when you look at it, you'll notice that 2025 for water, right now, again, we're right where we need to be minimal, to meet the 750,000 for the water reserve. The sewer, you're going to see that, yes, it's going to be one community, a lot of discussion. 2025 with no rate increase is going to show that it will be a negative 80,000 sitting in cash for that division on that thing. And then on the stormwater, again, that's way above where it needs to be at this point. But again, as Mike put these together, they're very preliminary numbers, and they're fine-tuned them. They're going to bring it to the 50,000 level. Just keep bringing it down.
And I think Bob might have mentioned this when he said that. So right now, these are initially built with a 0 increase.
I like that. I think it's a great way to start that way, because that's really the goal. The reality is 5 or 10 would be excellent, and stop trying to do 30s and 40s if we, anything about the trustees have always been out. Yeah.
Just looking at that, so 0% of the water, we're still in a deficit on, no, would be ahead. Okay. Yeah, good.
So lucky, so this is a meet, you can see these things, because this is really, you can really plan and not be so reactive as these other 4 places are gonna have this. It's gonna be terrible.
So basically what we could look at is zero in on the storm, to see whether or not there's any savings in there that we could get.
Storm versus surge.
So I'm gonna ask you questions, since we're in this rate committee stuff here now, and I think we have a trunk line meeting tomorrow morning, right?
We deferred it to this.
Well, here's the thing, so think about this, is I'm gonna do it from a very high level, and these guys can tell you the details, but you know, we've been awarded at some point $2 million from Susan Collins to do this project we're gonna do out the trunk line. Okay, we're part of that, so we're gonna all be incumbent on this district, but it's gonna affect the rates, everybody. And you could, but we haven't. You could have pushed it off for a long time, but we have an opportunity to have $2 million. The project is going to be $10 or $12 million, and then when we push it out, it's going to just keep going. So those are going to be a couple of things that are going to come in and mess with us here, because at some point, how do you say that? Well, we're not going to do it now, or you didn't take $2 million, we needed it, but now we got to go do. That's the tough thing, and so. I know that we've had this talk at the front line board meetings. By the way, I can represent us here, but anybody else is welcome to come with those if you want. We're not gonna have them tomorrow like you do. Brian, did I kind of state that right? I mean, it's kind of it's kind of hanging over us, like it's something that we really need to do. It has to do with some water, fix some water issues and some other things. And of course, anytime you got high pressure sewer near lakes, we need to be as best as we can with that stuff. So. But it's a challenge, because we're doing a great job here, but none of this includes that. And I think it's one of those things to tip this sideways as well.
There's so many different areas you can come in, as Mike and Brian points out all the time. You got PFAS, we have to go do something on there. If we got something else coming, all this is a snapshot, knowing what we know today. And that's why all the meetings we have keep throwing all these different ideas and needs in, so we can have the most current information. This is just a snapshot as of today.
I think I like talking about it here so people can hear how we think about things. This is a great forum to do that in, and people can go watch this. Yeah, we did think about that. Yep. I think it's good. Thank you guys for that. Moving on to project updates with Andy.
So, Kennebec River Utility Crossing is still ongoing with contract 5, which is issued by Q4. for 50 grand, and we're still tracking 5. We're still working with, folks to see where that's gonna land. So I don't have much of an update on that yet. Front Street Sewer Station went to bid. So our low bid was, just under 2 million, 1.99. And, another bidder was C.H. Stevenson at 2.2 million. So we've awarded the contract with Generator, to advance that work. They'll start in November, drive a cheating pit, and then they'll install the station first. Then they'll pause for a little while during the winter, come back and dig up the trail and the paved ways, in the spring. And they'll be done by, summer next year.
It is, has Gender never done anything for us before? I see them around a lot. I know they do good work, but that's not the point of it, but can't remember them.
So Gendron purchased, St. Laurent and Son. They've done a lot of work
Yeah.
with
Okay,
this
that makes
big
sense.
group. So
Yeah.
everybody I'm dealing with is basically the old.
Well, I'm comfortable with them. It was a new name to me, and I remember the St. Laurent people that did a lot for us, and so that makes sense. Well, a couple of ideas.
Gendron's heavy earthwork, and they also do concrete work. They have other.
Yeah, I've seen them do a lot of stuff in the office. Looks there.
Quick question for you in regards to the grant, there's a $2 million grant out there for this project. So if the bid came in under 2 million, does that mean, will that grant cover everything now?
Right now it does, except, our internal cost, design, construction administration, inspections,
Yeah.
you know, all the other.
Survey, right?
Yeah, the study takes so we've done, so.
Pretty much pays for all of that.
Good.
So I think where our budget right now on a drawdown sheet is about 2.2 million. So we don't need to draw our internal labor effort. We don't have to, we need the savings for construction. We're carrying that contingency for construction right now, so. roughly 200,000.
Brian and Andy, are you now seeing where the prices of materials are stabilizing or going down versus where they were going opposite way before on it? So is it becoming a little bit calmer waters out there?
What I've noticed more, Bob, is that you can get stuff now. It's, the materials have become available. It doesn't mean they got cheaper. It's not going up, you know, at a high price anymore. We're starting to see, you know, pipe deliveries. We're starting to see generators and switch gear and things like that. There's still delays, but you know, that stuff's getting better.
Are we gonna continue to have, we put bids out, have contract the supply pipe, or are we gonna be buying our pipe because we like we had a year or so ago there, we had to get the pipe. We prefer to have the contract typically, I think, but what, is that gonna change, is that changed at all?
Yeah, we don't need to buy the pipe right now. Deliveries are coming in for standard ductile iron.
Excellent.
Highland Avenue, for whatever reason, I guess the city didn't like the bituminous curbing, so it's been ripped out. Concrete curbing went in. So McGee Construction should be finishing up the sidewalk, this week, finish pave next week. So this is a project that should have been done a while ago, so we're getting there. Turtle Run is gonna start in September. C.H. Stevenson won this bid a while ago. So it's getting close to September, so we should see some effort going in there. Riverside Drive hardness, not a lot to report. We are seeing breakthrough in some of our results, which means that we're not getting the removal efficiencies in PFAS as much with our GAC filters. But we're seeing very favorable results with the ion exchange and the clay medias. So we're measuring the bed depth at only 30% right now, 33%, and we're still getting removal efficiency. So, which just means that's probably one of the medias we're going to take a hard look at, and we just have to do the cost analysis. So stuff's ongoing, and we're getting good results with that. So
Excellent.
Just a quick aside, if anybody ever wants to go see that, it's not, as you can see from the image on screen, that's the inside with a red column. of that shipping container that has the two tanks on the outside of it. So all this is tucked into a little shipping container.
But I don't mind going sometimes, everybody else wants to, because I think it's pretty important. I talked to, I've got some clients that are utilities, I talked about what we're doing, you know, and I always, when I've done the KTW, I always thank them that we're.
Yeah.
So I always tell this, let's all talk together, because we're all trying to solve the same thing, you know, so this is pretty cool. So we don't go sometime.
Just give a call, we can set up something more formal if you want, but it's maybe, what would it take, 10 minutes to go through that? I mean, to really go through it, it's a small.
No, I don't know, I just see it, put some stuff, it's getting visual and it's, I think it's good, and it's what we're improving all these things. This is a real, we're proactive on this instead of reactive. I think it's a pretty big deal, and trustees ought to, as we supported that, should see that, just we did a good job of this, be proactive. Good.
Fairview had a storm, I reported last time, they were 99% down. And we're just waiting for an apron to get fixed to shed the water a little bit better, off on the private property, just back into the street. So we're still tracking that. Hummingbird Lane, you see the red line on the screen. We were talking about a pipe burst project or replacement. Now you see all the blue lines. Those are actually water services. All those houses, there's like a handful, like 8, 9 houses back there that are fed off that red line. And we have a water main in Riverside Drive, and we're thinking, God, why don't we do some test probes? We're probably gonna just connect the water services and pay for those private installs, just to float the services and get rid of the cross-country water. We don't want to maintain the cross-country water or anything like that. So we're going through that evaluation right now. So if that might be a little easier, but it may come at an expense.
Is there any chance the city would take that, accept that as a street eventually?
But
I mean, that would change that.
yeah, I can zoom in on that, Cecil. On the stuff.
I mean, it's private road now, right?
Kind of a catch piece of it, makes sense. Yeah, that would be,
Looking down. the
yeah.
road.
So there's, yeah, it's basically one drive.
So there's some new housing things in there. I just kind of have the idea that maybe in that line, go for city street eventually. And that would change us, and what we have to do with it, correct?
A little bit, I mean, could be that they may be more amenable to paving it. It takes care of a lot of private easements that we have to get. That would be the big thing that we would get an advantage from. We've had some leaks on Hummingbird, which is why we'd like to get rid of it. But as you can see, really that water pipe goes through a lot of backyards. So if that breaks, then we have to go across someone's backyard, maybe 2 or 3 backyards. Yeah. Excavate and repair, then go back and move pools and sheds or fences. It's really not the best way to do it. The reason they did that in the first place is probably because it's easier digging than going to Riverside Drive. We have old pictures of Riverside Drive, so ledge everywhere. So we expect to run into some ledge here, and we're just gonna do a cost analysis to see which is better. Usually, it's better to serve, and it's a 90-degree from your existing main into a structure. So
I know, yeah, everybody gets light, but 25 years from now, people will appreciate you doing that.
yeah, exactly right. I mean, you can imagine, we always try to put ourselves in the homeowner's position. If that was, or I always ask, if that was your mom, what would you do? As somebody you care a lot about, would you want to march an excavator through someone's backyard, even though you had an easement, even though it's perfectly legal when we paid for it, whatever.
Choose not to.
It's not ideal. Yeah. So,
Well, the development wasn't awesome back there. We're dealing with sheds on top of the water main and leach fields in proximity, and so, it's just not the best place.
So, yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
Yep. Get back to the,
Much easier to have this one-on-one in this setting than it was over there, is all I'll say. This one-on-one is much easier to have back and forth without trying to see what you guys do.
yeah,
It's really, from my perspective, it's much easier to run a meeting this way. It's very good.
Every time's better than the other one.
So Summer Street, we received bids. We got a lot of bids, and mostly because we stretched out our completion date to June. Excuse me. So our low bidder was the Cedar Earthworks. I did some background checks on them. They do a lot of work for some other smaller utilities, a lot of work for the Joy Brothers and site work. So they got great reviews. So we're gonna give them a try.
Are they from Maine or are they Maine-based company?
East Sabatis, yeah, that's where they're out of. Yeah, and the owner, one of the owners used to work for a big earthwork contractor, so.
Good.
So yeah, we'll give them a shot, especially with the savings. We had a budget of 520,000 and they came in at 350, so it seems really cost effective. We got bids, almost 800,000 was the Gordon contracting at the bottom.
You don't think they missed anything then? It was that good.
No, CH Stevenson right here is kind of my gauge.
I see.
They're, low overhead kind of earthwork contractor. We're familiar with them. They do good work. So that's really the starting point. I got the low bid. So yeah.
But that kind of, when you look at that table, it speaks to the earlier question about whether or not you can get supplies and equipment. As you can see by that range, we had a lot of interest in a job that's penciled out to next year. So,
Years ago, we really were getting.
yeah, and you recall that Summer Street is over by Plummer, right? Plummer Road, and the pipes go right under where they park the hearse. I mean, it's a real mess over there. So we're very much looking forward to doing it. Again, you can imagine trying to dig through the hearse parking garage to fix a pipe that we don't have an easement for, that no one ever got it. It's bad. So we'll be really happy with this
That was
project.
great.
Yeah, so we're chasing from Pleasant across to Summer Street, all private property, across to Elm. And we only have one pipe and it's in terrible condition. So we're separating it into two, sewer and storm, and discharging them to Bridge Street through Summer Street. So we're taking 4 or 5 basins out of the sewer, doing that. So it'll be a good project when it's all done.
Excellent.
The important thing, since we're not expensing this effort this year, what we did was add that close to that contract value in relining work that we're gonna get done this year. So, which is the next on the list. So our Bangor Street.
That was actually a segue.
Yeah, we have 11,500 feet of pipelining that we're doing. We're gonna do a change order to add another 4,700 feet, so we'll have like 3 miles of sewer renewals or rehabilitation for only another 230.
Well, that relining has been a big hit for that. We didn't just shove that saved the ratepayers a pot of money.
Yeah, so $1 million gets you 3 miles of
That's nice. Good.
Well, and it gets, the other thing, it gets you more than that, because you have a lot of water that infiltrates in all the time. So every gallon that we don't have to treat at a wastewater plant saves money and power. So we look at climate issues and environmental issues like that. How much does it cost us to move water from place to place? Less water that just seeps in that is not wastewater is better for us all around. It also dramatically reduced our maintenance costs, and predominantly, our overarching goal here is to make sure that if you're a customer of ours, you never have sewer coming into the basement of your house that for your business that has something to do with poor maintenance on our part. We've been sued for that before, and we've made real strides to get in front of it. And again, this relining effort, I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was really Dan Wells and whatever utilities who was doing a lot of it, really piqued our interest in it, and we went whole hog after that. So we owe him our thanks for it. It's nice to be able to do this work.
I have a little trouble visualizing that. What part of Bangor Street is that?
This one is Davenport on the top. Sorry, it's, I can zoom in on another map if you want. But the other one is Front Street. So from our pump station by IF&W, where the IF&W
Main State Housing Building used to be.
or Matt Pouliot's property. or the gazebo, area, all the way, back to Bridge Street is where the Front Street works come. So it's flood prone area, so stuff just leaks in. We just spent a lot of effort epoxy lining all those manholes to keep water from leaking.
This will solve the rest of it.
Yeah, we're gonna tighten the whole system next one, so.
Yeah, we think that because of the age of those buildings, because they're on a flat roofs, that we have a lot of stormwater coming in from rain onto someone's roof. That just goes down, and whether it could be either state pipe or something else that is coming in. So that would be the next phase of the work, is now that we've tightened up our own system, try to find ways that are economical for people to divert that water and go right to the river instead of into the wastewater plant.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want me to zoom into that report?
No, that's okay.
And that's where Dave Smith lives, if you remember Dave.
Yeah.
On the board for some.
Yes.
We've had a lot of problems in that area. We think we can nip those in the bud on maintenance headaches, but we may have to quit that section if you want.
We have to have parties.
Okay.
Oh, sure, we do that. So,
Mr. Luke, well,
so winter fill tank, we're doing some crack sealing on the top of the dome, and now we're gonna repaint the whole thing. So we're gonna do that to one tank. There are two up there. So this year we'll expense, about 236,000. Our budget was 130. We went out and we got it bid by a couple of contractors that gave us prices.
We put our logo on the tank. I'm just saying.
how much do you want to spend? So these tanks are.
I know, in all around, but maybe the places this week might have a greater event.
These tanks were installed in the early 1990s, and they're filter fill reservoirs. They're right next to the airport. And we found that when we installed roughly 5.5 million gallon tanks, we only used one. So we're only recoating the one that's in use now. If you can imagine all those little tie wedges that go into making that arch, we're concerned that over time, if left untreated, some of those cracks could propagate, get bigger, and water and bird droppings, whatever, could get into the tank. We certainly don't want that to happen. So we're only fixing the tank that we're going to use. We don't know what we're going to do with the other 5 million gallon tank. And just by way of comparison, it's still about $1, maybe $1.25 per gallon. So that represents about a $6 million drinking water asset that we don't use. It's stranded. We installed in the 1990s because we expected our usage curves to go straight up, and they went straight down instead. So just some of those legacy problems that we face, and instead of recoating both tanks, we're just going to focus on the one and then try to find a repurpose for the other tank. One repurpose that has been talked about in other places, not so much in Maine, is using solar power, some other kind of renewable resource to pump water up to a height, and then at night, when you don't have solar power, you spin a pump or spin a turbine, and that puts power back into the grid. So given the elevation of that tank, given the fact that it has 5.5 million gallons of water, maybe in 20 years, that would be a perfect use for that tank, but we have no idea. So,
Bucher, stormwater slip line. So the photos, the excavator that you see with the corrugated metal pipe, the bottom's gone in it, and that was much. So that was an easy one in a shallow area to pull out, so we can make room to actually slip line. So we're actually putting a brand new pipe right through it. So in the next photo, you see the nose, the photo way to the left. It's a tapered nose, and basically just push it and pull it through. And that's how we install it. Israel Colpit, he used to work for Prescott, now he works for us. He did a lot of this work, so he's really getting creative with some of the ways we approach projects. So excellent. It's been a big help.
That again is another weird project because it's emblematic of our past, where this looks like it used to be a ditch that went out behind Bucher, and somebody put a pipe in, but we don't know if it was the utility district, the city, or somebody else. So for 10 or 20 years, it's been a lot of this. We just said, we're just going to reline it and and fix at least this part and then see how it performs over time. But it looks like it's just extended from an old drain on Western Ave itself. So it does solve some of our old problems. And so we're going to see more and more of that over time as we tackle these very difficult, expensive projects to do just a couple little things, but we can't just let them fester anymore.
So the pulse swing absorption system at the plant that makes our oxygen, we needed to do some maintenance, but before we took that offline, we had to fix our dry out system, which is liquid oxygen. So that work should be wrapped up in a month, probably, John, to get that back online. And then we can take our sieve down and rebed that. So that work is going to be about Q3, I think, to Q4 to wrap up. And then the other big one is clarifier number 3. We just bid that project out. We're going to replace the gearbox, drive assembly, the bridge supports that go to allow access to that drive unit. So we came in under budget on that one as well. I think by 130,000. So we're looking good there. We're awarding to Northeast Earth Mechanics. We got 3 bids. So the installation was 158,000, equipment was 160,000. So we did some records checking, got good reviews on that. We haven't worked with them, but another contractor that's very popular in the New Hampshire area, coming all the way up here to do some work for us.
Well, general benefit board is next. Any other questions for Andy on the project? Great, good, Andy. General manager with Brian, I'm really interested in the last paragraph. But we'll stop there, but I'm pleased to see anything that we can ever do something with that plant up there. You got my.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I digress.
I'm sorry to build it up because I'm not that great, but we'll save the best for last. Yeah, hey, John, while I'm going, you want to pull up the seat? Sit over here. I feel bad having you sit right over there. But, so I heard, as you recall from the last meeting, that people who work here pay attention to this part of the report every month. They like to get recognition for their years of service, and I've been reading this and didn't do that for a couple of months because of the software issues we've sorted out. So here we go. Jason Salzer, who runs our operations crew, all the field guys who do all this maintenance work for us and do a great job, has been here for 10 years, which is hard for me to believe because it seems like he's eternally 30 years old somehow, but there it is, 10 years, and he's doing great work for us. Kirsten Hebert is on the board, and she's also been here for 10 years. And unfortunately, a lot of our meetings coincide with meetings that she has for these small utility districts that are struggling much harder than we are. So she's not here with us tonight, but our thanks to her for those years of service. Dana Demas is a guy we talk about an awful lot. He's a former welder at the Chimbro company, does really amazing work. He's certified by Lloyd's of London and a number of other entities. He's done loads of work for us to help fabricate things that are sort of one-offs and help us solve problems we didn't know were solvable. And really appreciate having him here. Carrie Caldwell from, I spelled that incorrectly. You did a D, Coldwell, it's Caldwell. My apologies, but she's been here for 6 years on the board. She unfortunately gave me her notice that once the Mayor Paulo finds a replacement for her, she'll be leaving us, not for something personal, maybe now it is, because they spelled her last name. I haven't known her for a decade, but
Well, certainly gonna miss her and Charlotte, so they're gonna appoint some big shoes to fill, because they've been great board members, and we've got a good board. So I hope it will continue.
oh, well, should have a deep bench. I'm hopeful that we get some quality folks from there, and I believe that Jerry and Charlotte are helping to add some.
Charlotte said you would do that.
Yeah. Add some ideas to that. Ryan Buckman works for our road crew and is just a great guy. And we're very fortunate to have him, as we are for both Dave Curtis and Scott Hoyt. So Dave also known as Other Dave. He also worked for EJ Prescott. We have a few Daves, so he got the Other Dave moniker, but he works for the CCTV crew with Israel. So he helps with the cameras that inspect the pipes, and we find defects, and those get promoted to areas that we need to realign. And- What's that?
We skipped over one.
Oh, Ryan, I talked about Ryan quickly.
Oh, John.
John, how much? Wait, you're in here? I can-
Yep. It's been a big fight.
No, it's not on, it's not on my thing.
Don't worry, he does this all the time.
Just read, how long, so I was getting to him.
Oh, you were.
Good recovery.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan, for.
Yeah. No, I was, yeah, thanks for stealing
Just
my
wasn't-
thunder. I had a really nice slide. I'm gonna have to delete it.
He's just getting back from vacation.
Yeah, it's a little jet lagging. I don't know why, sorry, I should have been on there. So David Scott and, sorry, I didn't make the, so all right, so how long you been here?
5 years.
5 years. Amazing. And you came from Camden to here, was that? Comes from a long line of civil engineers, and he's very involved in main water utilities. Recently passed professional engineering exams, our grade 5 operations too. So 2 very important achievements to have, and you would think that I would, both spell Terry's last name right and include John, since he's sitting right in front of me on my list, but there's Andy, righting my wrongs right now, so thank you very much for doing that. And thanks for sticking around for 5 years. The next page, I want to give a shout out to our 2024 interns. We had five great interns. This room that's all been redeveloped has done in no small part of their efforts over the last about 3 weeks. So we talked earlier about how Randy sort of bird dogged this project to take it from an industrial room that was first constructed in 98 years ago, 1926, and cleaned the walls, primed the walls, painted everything. Interns never painted anything before, so I don't look too carefully at everything, but for our first time out, I think they did an awesome job. There's no chance we would have found a contractor to do it faster or better, and the way out, all the stuff. They were just a lot of fun to have around this summer, just really, really good people. So I was Silas Bartol. He also became an Eagle Scout last month, and to see that presentation in Manchester was quite an achievement. I guess only 6% of scouts made it that far, so very cool. Leo Colvin he's a great guy. He's going to USM for mechanical engineering. He made the call some years ago. His big sister was in big, very tiny, but Claire Colvin was here, and he followed in her footsteps nicely. Charlotte Harper Cunningham was she became known to me through another friend of mine who said my friend's friend has a daughter, so I didn't know her in advance. That's to know her, and she's just a great kid, and we were really lucky to have her as well, going to BU for mechanical engineering. Adelaide LaBelle was our lone civil engineer, so that's a warm spot in my heart for civil engineers. Allie's dad is an operator at a large construction company. I know her family very well because her little brother and my son play hoops together, so that's great. And then finally, Casey Mushwood in Manchester, her little sister and my older son are on a lot of the same teams together, so I know Casey well. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun to have them around. Another shout out to Jonah, who works for us to help bird dog those guys and keep them really busy. We did a pile of work, and at the next meeting, we should have a synopsis of a lot of the work that they did, so we can kind of put some numbers to that. So I'm glad that we fund that program every year.
I don't know if this is the time to mention this, but when I had a meeting today with Midcoast Technical School, they think the 7 different school districts are like kids in there, and I was talking about water, wastewater. I don't know how we reach out to those kind of people to get, that's just another source of getting people interested in. They couldn't better know where that place is. It was just awful stuff down in the water, beautiful facility. And the gentleman's superintendent really got his thought on about, and he's a native Mainer himself. And so we talked about the water wastewater thing. And I said, well, I'm going to mention it tonight at the meeting, what we do, but I'm sure there's more of those than that. But And maybe that's more maybe rule one, I don't like, maybe it's Chris Gator said it, but I thought maybe, we might have to reach out to somebody like that.
We try to reach out to everybody. It's just that it's a really big challenge for us. So imagine that you have to hire a commercial driver, and that means your marijuana is still a scheduled narcotic. And nowadays, a lot of young people enjoy marijuana like we might have enjoyed a few years when we were their age, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So that eliminates them from being able to be a commercial driver's license. So that narrows the pool quite a lot to those folks who do have those things. So then you have to say, well, not only do you have to have a CDL, commercial driver's license, but you have to be on call, and it goes for 7 straight days. And if the alarm goes off, you have to come in, and then you get to work at a sewer maybe. So isn't that a good time? So it's really, really hard for us to recruit people for those positions. And it used to be that we had jobs in Maine that were just unbearable. Working in a chicken barn or something was an awful job. Working in a really, really hot mill was a terrible job. And those jobs are long gone. So our comparatives now are that our jobs are kind of tough for young people to want to do. And they get turned off it. But we've also been successful to recruit and hire people and retain them, as we saw in the prior slide, for many years, because we have a good work culture, because the product we create is a better environment. It's a nonprofit. I mean, we have a lot going for us. It's just hard to get people in that door. So to that end, I'd say we will talk to anybody.
I know we really did.
Provide anything, and this is a nationwide problem that people in our line of work are getting greater and older, and there's going to be a lot of operator opportunities coming up. I must say, is it true that all the operators you have working with you now are all former commercial driver's license truck drivers here? So they basically found an opportunity across the river at the wastewater plant when they used to work outside in the cold and all. I said, "Wait, even though it's wastewater, maybe I'll give it a shot." And those guys stayed. They never really come back. So that's where we found our operators, and it's been very successful. Our plant's running really, really well. So we've got a good team, great cadre of people.
Didn't you say that's one of the things they said today? They did plumbing there. They have a hard time with plumbing because one of the questions they get asked, we have to install a toilet, work or something. Yeah, this is a little different here, but sort of similar. So there is that perception out there. How do you, but overall, this is a really good place to work, and I think we did do this for promotion of it. So I don't know if we can promote a little bit to those, but just be open about it.
Yeah, we want to talk to anybody and everybody. We have another couple candidates that now I'll talk about a little bit that we're hoping to hire by the end of the month. That is promising, and even though they don't have CDLs, my take at this point is like, it's okay if they don't. We'll find something for them to do. We have loads to do. If they ever want to go to the wastewater plant, you certainly don't need a commercial driver's license to go to the wastewater plant. So we'll find work. Definitely.
Thanks.
And so we'll breeze through this. We had our drinking water inspection that happens every 3 years by the State of Maine Drinking Water Program. The State of Maine Drinking Water Program has primacy for the Safe Drinking Water Act here in Maine. So many states have their local EPA branch that regulates them. Maine's one of the fortunate ones that regulates drinking water on its own. We pay a fee every year for the privilege to do that. That is probably the best money we spend, because if we have issues with our drinking water, I can go to the Key Bank building that I can see almost from my office and meet with people to help figure out how to best solve those problems. So we don't have the results of that inspection yet. But I suspect that we will. My one thought on that is that we will likely be asked to up our game a little bit in terms of our ability to detect and locate leaks in the drinking water system. So if there's anything that comes out of that, that will be my expectation. Everything else we're doing extremely well on for lead service line replacement and cybersecurity and all those other things that are sort of up and coming. We've already got them more or less in our rearview mirror at this point. So I think we're in good shape. A shout out to our folks at the wastewater plant again for preparing for Ironman. We had a person stationed at the wastewater plant all day. You can imagine if you have an alarm that goes off during Ironman. Good luck getting there. Because there's all kinds of people running along, and I suppose you could fake it and just sort of jog along. With them, but it would be difficult. Ironman, of course, is a fantastic event for us. It's the only wastewater plant in the country that people run through. And I think that's fantastic. And I'm sure they speed up when they go. I don't know why. We should stop and enjoy the view, but they seem to go faster. So we also do all the drinking water testing. You may recall, because of the Olympics this year, there's a lot of talk about the River Seine in Paris. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And the water quality was terrible. So I was looking at their results compared to ours. And ours was like, I don't know, was it 100 times cleaner or something like that? So about that, yeah.
How many years they use the Senate as the sewer? What do you expect, right?
Yeah, and you know, it's hard to compare because we're still pretty rural communities, but the bottom line is the Kennebeck's a Class B river now, and it's really, really clean compared to those inner city waterways.
Yeah, please, yeah.
I thank you for mentioning that, Brian. You know, the Ironman, they swimming in the Kennebec River, you know, it was a perfect time. Last year, the water was 10 feet higher and it was cold. And now we had a great summer. It reminded me that, say, 65 years ago, when I was a little boy, this was the worst time of the year to live next to the Kennebec River. Hollow was a beautiful city, and they get all kinds of development and people living downtown and everything. 65 years ago, you couldn't get anybody to take a rent there because it's very low water anyway. And everything was dead. By the time the Kennebec reached Augusta, there was very little oxygen. It had all been consumed up beyond all the mills and the direct discharge of sewage and everything. And I can just remember living on Laurel Street, that, you know, I lived on Water Street. That's where I had a bicycle next to the Eagles Club, all of that stuff. And you had McClellan's, and you had all kinds of really nice little stores, 5 and 10 cent stores. But the stench was terrible. And I can remember going over Bond Brook on Water Street, and there were a few fish, and it was low tide. They were trying to get some oxygen out of the clear water from Bond Brook. It was about that much water, and they were just trying to survive. The ratepayers that paid their share to clean up the Kennebec River, it's inevitable, and people can swim in it. And the Seine, they had to do a testing every day, and I think a majority of the days it wasn't good.
Yeah.
They had been trying, but you know, they knew 5 years ago they were going to be there, but they still haven't done what we did here in the United States, all over the country. So.
I heard that they put $1 billion into just getting it to where it is right now.
Yeah. So, and they, you know, people were getting sick. They said, oh, well, we're swimming in there and we're just not well the next day and all this stuff here. Europe is behind us, I think, in cleaning up the system. I hope they do it, because the Seine is a beautiful area, and it's older than Maine is, of course. It's thousands of years older, but anyway, that's the point is that we've really improved the Kennebec River over here. It's cost money, but the return has been a lot more people living and enjoying and having their boats out once in a while and not having to scrub them down. Just cling to the boat. So anyway, and just as an aside, you're going to hear a lot about PFAS in the next few days, because unfortunately, Brunswick Landing had a major spill of fire retardant. And that's in the news again. That happened not long
This morning.
This morning, yeah. I saw it on a news clip around 4 as I get ready to come down here. And that's sad. And that's PFAS. So,
Well,
not good. Not good for the poor people of the utility district in Brunswick.
Well, we're ahead of that. They had a funny story at the time, and a friend of mine asked me if I had room for his daughter and husband. They were going to be in the Ironman, they were going to swim. And so they had dinner with us, big guys. And I mentioned, you know, how she might like swimming with those dinosaurs we have in the river. Well, let's go ahead and make it. Swam fast the next day, she said.
Yeah, and finally, the New England application, you remember I'm on that commission, is the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission, which is so easy to say that they just shortened it to NUIPIC, which is a pretty long acronym on its own. If you can think of EPA, Region 1 is spanning basically all the New England states. NUIPIC was sort of a predecessor to that back in 1946. So Before there was EPA, there was new EPIC, so you can imagine that all these states work together. The interesting part about anything is it also includes New York State, so it's a part of Region 2 as well. So we've been involved for quite a while now to try to find a reuse of the property that we have in Winthrop, the Carmel Pond Road water treatment plant, which has been offline now for 20 years, if you can imagine that. Hard to believe. And that used to take water out of Carmel Pond, treat it, and then send it on its way. We abandoned it because it was just far too expensive to operate and maintain. We can operate wells for less money and get the same job done. And this application is really non-binding commitment on our part to say, we've got this building, and if there's some way that you could use that for PFAS research going forward, whether it's water or wastewater, we have no other plans for it, frankly. And so we basically have our foot in the door. If there's an approval by the federal government that says, yeah, we want to have this PFAS research engine go, then someone may come to us and say, I kind of would like to see what we can do with that facility, which would be fantastic. You recall that facility gets used a lot by law enforcement right now, and everybody thanks me all the time for its use, whether it's canine or bomb disposal and everything else in between. Really, folks appreciate having that resource at the building.
Would this be a lease you're talking about, or would they be buying it?
Don't know. I'm presuming some sort of a lease or partnership or something. I mean, from where I sit, if we can get it so we can pay to fix the roof that's leaking and keep some heat in it and keep some people there for security, that would be great.
Ideal spot.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, it seems a ways off to me, but it's, like I said, it's no commitment on our part, so.
Good. Anything else for Brian or Jeremy? Hearing on, the updates, I guess we kind of talked about PFAS, there's really no report, nothing's really changed, so we go ahead. Well,
It's one question in regards to New Hampshire. Does that their settlement for 65 million from DuPont and 3M on that stuff with their settlement? It's going to take them years to get them the money, but they said that they just got that 65 million. Are we in anything by state of Maine or anything like that? Or now going forward?
I haven't heard anything. We've applied through a law firm in a class action lawsuit. I got to follow up with them. The hitch and the get along for us is that we have to demonstrate that the discovery of PFAS at our riverside wells in some way impaired us by having to shut off the wells or do some other drastic thing. We've not had to do any of those things because of the discovery of PFAS. So I don't know that we're going to be eligible for that much funding. It's a complex formula they used it. So we're going to follow up with that. We'll continue to keep our foot in the door for that. And if there's somebody, that's fantastic.
Doesn't the state of Maine also suing some of these major producers of PFAS products?
So that's a separate issue. So we have our piece, which is class action thing. So honestly, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And then potentially the state may get some money as well, which
They're pursuing multiple avenues, the agriculture, wastewater, water, so farm, it's definitely a big one, so.
any other questions on that? Let's move on now to financial. Mike.
Okay, so for July, water division, revenues at about 3 million or so, right in line with budget, and about 60,000 below last year. Expenses running 2.4 million and running 3% under budget, and that's about 276,000 below last year. And the cash flow for water, we started July with 6 million. We had almost 590,000 revenues. O&M with 360,000 and 12,000 in CIP. Ended the month at 2.8 million. And then sewer division revenues year to date at 3.3 million. That's also right in line with budget. About 193,000 above last year. Expenses are just under 3 million. And that's about 6% under budget. And 70,000 below last year, so very similar to last year. Cash flow on the sewer side started the month at 854,000. Revenues were 570,000. own expenses, 331, and then we did have 510,000 in CIP, so bigger payments on the projects. Ending cash of 584,000. Stormwater revenues of 2.4 million, again, right on the budget, and the divisions, that's about 290,000 below last year. And some of those revenues that are lower last year, we had a little bit more of the grant revenues. So it looks, the 290 looks quite well, but that's why. Expenses running 1.6 million, that's running 7% under budget. So excellent. That's about 74,000 for there last year. Cash flows, we started the month at 3.2 million. Revenues were 332. O&M expenses were 162,000, and then small CIP at about 5,000. Ending the month at 3.3 million.
Okay, any questions? Is everybody's all, you guys all set? Okay, move on, leads, there's no leads this month. Policy reviews.
Let's see, do I have policy reviews? I do. Is this, I'm just come back a minute here. I'm still on. Yeah, okay. Oh, all right. Camper dump station, question. So as you recall, because of the work underneath the Kennebec River, we had our road to the wastewater plant Jackson Avenue torn up for a good part of the summer, well, a good part of the year actually, which made it really difficult for campers to get down there. So if you've never had a camper, I don't have a camper, but you know, a lot of them have toilets in them and you can store wastewater in those. Most people, as they leave the campground, will exhaust all that product into a dump station on their way out, which makes sense. But we've provided a free service for folks who have campers for well before I started, some 20 years ago. So when we suspended that service, folks were eager to know if we were going to start it up again. In point of fact, we kind of rather not start it up again because it causes a lot of operational problems for us. You can imagine someone has to come down the road to get to the dump station, and if they jackknife their trailer, that doesn't work. If it's just a quitting time, then we have to wait for an hour or so somebody can get their trailer down and it's not close enough, they have to move it again. Can create a nuisance and a headache for wastewater plant operators if they clean up messes that aren't properly closed out. Can create odors that smell worse than the plant itself, just caused by dump stations. So we're of a mind to say that we really want to keep doing this. I will say that I've had at least 3 calls about this, saying, when are you going to reopen it? The road's paved, you know, we'd like to get down there. And so we've never, to my knowledge, had a policy or any board level discussion about this. So I figured because the public is interested in trying to maintain this, but yeah, that's one point of interest to you folks. The interest for me is that it is a pain for our folks who operate it. And that's why John was celebrating 5 years of service with us, which I did look at my thing. I didn't have that from the notes. I don't know why I didn't copy over. So thanks again for 5 years. Is here to kind of talk about that as well and just get a feel for you folks about whether or not we should reopen that and how that might work, knowing that we've had some calls up from people that would really like to see it open again.
Cecil, then Bob.
Bob was first.
Bob, go ahead.
In reading Meredith's insert on what's going on the website and everything else, some of them, if there wasn't on page 22 or 25 inquiries, searches, and one of them was the RV dumping station, of which fourth quarter of 2023 there was 1, quarter 1 of 2024 there was only 1, and quarter 2 of 2024 there was only 3. So almost only 5 inquiries over a year. You're saying it only 3 on what you're talking about. And with the Austin Owens, I'm be leaning toward agreeing with what you're saying and what shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, we pulled a number of our peer utilities, and I'd say it's kind of half and half, that some places do, some places don't. We could charge a fee for folks to come in. But can you click on that link, Andy, that I just added higher?
Yeah, it comes up here.
So, say my on that would be. Very good. So we've had some pros and cons we've developed internally, and John, if you want to take that on, please do.
Yeah, so obviously it's been a great asset to the ratepayers because we provide a free service to them and they're able to dump and not have to worry about it. There's not a lot of utilities in the area where neighboring facilities don't have that free service. A lot of them charge $20 or $10. Some charging upwards of $50. We don't have any interest in taking money down there. We don't have the staff to do it. We're not in the business of handling money at that facility. But the issues have started to arise with a lot of transient users coming through. People heading north, heading south. It's a great location to stop off of 95. And what we see is they come at weird hours in the day. We try to close down by 3:30. Our guys leave at 4. We got people rolling through the gate at 4 and they've already got their hoses out. So we're paying overtime on employees by 45 minutes to an hour when that happens. And same on the weekends, when guys go in to take some tests or some samples, people will roll in and without get stuck there, you can't lock the gate till they leave. So that kind of came about when we closed it. I kind of started hearing from our staff what their issues were with it. And I had noticed, people spilling quite a bit of waste around the pad and creating pretty bad odors. And we have visitors and our entranceway doesn't smell that good. It's not a good look. So it's not a lot of waste. We're talking 10,000 gallons a year. 2023 roughly cost us about 9 cents a gallon to treat, 8 cents maybe. So we were only talking, a little over $1,000 to treat this. So it's not a huge cost on that end, but it is a pretty substantial cost in overtime. If you're talking, this time of year, we'll see 6, 7 RVs a day, always at the worst time of day. So unless we take steps to kind of limit their access, automatic gate potentially, or start setting up a schedule that they can have to adhere to, and the gate may help that. I don't see a huge benefit to the district to keep that going and kind of waste our staff's time cleaning that facility, managing campers, getting jackknifed, blocking chemical deliveries. It's just, seems to create more of a nuisance than help.
I know that they have the same basic system and setup at the Portland Water District's Westbrook treatment facility. I don't know what they're doing there. All I know is it's the same setup, same circumstance, drive in, pump out.
Yeah.
I'm not even interested really in what they're doing. I'm also reflecting back 12 years now.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
They don't accept it anymore, right?
So there you go.
Take it back from them. I don't know, a lot of places do. I think it would be not a big deal for us if it was easy to drive. And you guys have all been down to the wastewater thing, but it's a dead end. So you can imagine going down there with a trailer, and then now you have to back it up and then make a hard turn and come back. A lot of the folks who operate camper are really skilled at backing up. Not all of them are. Sometimes that's a problem. Sometimes something gets stuck or breaks. We, again, on our list of, we have the for, against, and maybes. I'm concerned too that somebody might slip and fall and hurt their head. And then how do we explain that to an insurance company? Because they say, my kid fell when I was at your facility and, you opened the doors, you let us in, and then this happened. That's never happened. That doesn't mean you can't. And then that could be a litigious situation we want to avoid. So most of the signs that I can see point to a simple answer, well, it's just not provide the service anymore. It's running its course. We've done it for 50 years or whatever. But there are some people who really enjoy using it, and they probably are the same people who do a great job cleaning up after themselves and so on. But again,
a half measure if we did in order to serve local conceptually ratepayers. If we only kept it open in late, from middle of September to middle of November, the end of the camper season.
Mhm.
That would then be closed. That would strike me as a halfway measure, and it would tend to service our existing client base. If we shut it down entirely.
Yeah, this feels like a lot of risk, possible. I heard the slipping concussions, whatever. convenience, for a few people, but it's a lost leader for us. I mean, yeah.
It definitely does.
I just think if it's that much of a mess, what's the problem? Stop it.
And where we talk about, vehicles getting jackknifed down there, 4 staff members trying to direct them out. Now that we have the wastewater, or the station staff down there as well, now they're entirely blocked in because we've got twice as many personnel staff down there. So
Well, yeah, it just seems like it's not a convenience for them, but it's not for us. Sorry.
Are there other places in Augusta that accept wastewater and then have it go over to? I'm thinking on Coney Road or so, when I was power walking on the east side, I remember a privately owned waste truck that cleans out tanks stopped and put the hose in and depositing the stuff. So there are places.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the grid site on Coney Road. It's probably where you're thinking of. You don't have anything that has a washout with a hose and all that you would find at like a campsite, apart from this one site. So I don't know, but do you know of any other site that somebody can go to? Gardner,
But do they have to have a license with?
No, but that's another issue, right? So we are now increasingly monitoring the contents of the wastewater. If somebody discharges something that they shouldn't, because it's just convenient to just look around and just dump this bucket of ethyl something out into the camper site. We've got no idea, so we want to protect that because,
You collect, septic tanks, they're not members of the utility, they don't pay a monthly fee.
and we don't accept haulage. for septic tanks.
no, we're only permitted to take a very small.
How many years have we been doing this?
Since well before I started, so more than 25.
I hear what everybody's saying, and I certainly appreciate what John said tonight, but it's a line of balance where we're in public, we raise 30%. We're gonna take stuff away. Now, we're probably only small. I'm loath to stop certain public services, but I hear, doesn't go unnoticed, but Randy, we good?
Yeah, Randy raised her.
Randy, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to say that the issue became an issue when COVID happened and so many people turned to camping. Prior to that, we never received any calls about dumping. But since then, we received quite a few calls, some ugly, but we have redirected them to different places that they can dump. We had one today that we did tell them where to go, and they said, well, you guys don't charge. They all charge.
So one of the reasons why we've done this, according to Dale Goodman, who's my predecessor here, who's been here for 30 years maybe, was that without a dump site like that, people just dump their wood. Right. So if we're committed to improving the environment and providing a free place and dumping a few gallons every year is great. I just think that it wouldn't be as big a deal if we had a system where someone could drive through on a circle or something like that. If we had a gate that we could close and control, so you had which we were fixing to do in 2025 anyway, because it's very difficult for plant personnel to have to manage this, right? So we've got FedEx deliveries, we've got chemical deliveries, we have deliveries that are needed for the continuance of our business that we can't do because we're providing a free service. And it's, like you say, it's very difficult to explain that to somebody, and it is a good environmental benefit.
In regards to another different type of idea, same thing. Again, I'm kind of leaning toward it, really should shut it down, but at the same point, giving people a chance to understand what they're doing. Is it really just, I guess the folks that are doing it, is it people traveling through or actually getting down there and those type of things? Can we put something like in the mailer a couple of times saying, we are in the process of running the idea of shutting this down for the service people in Augusta. Please give us your thoughts and comments. And could those comments be, okay, yeah, we're going to be open 2 times or 3 times a year. Specifically, that's for you guys to clean these things up, get you started, or get them closing out. But take it out to the public a little bit through the mailers of their building or something with the answer is, tell us what you think. And if we don't hear from them, they're telling us what we need to hear anyway.
See,
Do you know how many people actually use this on an annual basis?
We don't have stats, I don't think.
No, I know.
Have no idea.
From late spring to mid-fall, you're talking 5-6 campers a day on average.
That's a pretty good clip. That's a pretty good clip, yeah.
During the day, you mean 5 days a week?
Yes.
Randy, go ahead.
I don't think that they're not our customers. They are people, traveling, mostly, boondocking. They are not, I don't think I have talked to one of our customers here. They search on websites to see where there's dump stations. And then when they find ours, but I honestly, John can maybe answer that better, but anybody that we've talked to is not our customers.
Yeah, a lot of them are transients that go on and help them get turned around. I talk to them and they're going back to Canada or they're going to northern Maine or something like that.
Again, it goes back to provide places that don't dump it towards, and,
Yeah, well.
and so I get it, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But it's an interesting one, I can go however, the voice was saying that, you know, we are in the environmental business, we talk about that. We say we're gonna do these things, and sometimes it's tough to do those things
So,
that are right, you know, so, you know.
so how much are we gonna save if we close it up? Any idea?
No, we don't have good metrics on it. I mean, we know that for every hour that someone stands next to a dump, like a camper dumper, that's an hour we're not doing maintenance or painting at the waste. It's a negative hour for us. So if our average salary there is $30 an hour plus half of that, so $45, and it happens 5 days, you know, you can go on and on. I think some of the folks who've been there a few times, they know the drill, they're in the route, if they're great at driving, you never even know you're there, right? So we can't paint everybody with the same brush. But it's just, like I say, I wouldn't have as big a problem with it if it was easy to pull in, other traffic could buy, and it was easy for them to pull out, then we really wouldn't have much of an issue, I don't think. And we could automate a cleaner system. But you know how it is. Sometimes people are in a rush. They make a mess. They're like, I don't have time in my day to clean this up. My kids are screaming, I gotta get out of here. And then John's guys will have to deal with that, which they already have.
Didn't we do a bunch of retrofit when they didn't change the pipes coming in and doing stuff that we didn't consider, what was that in the process?
Now, one thing we are considering is creating, and you want to talk about that a little bit, is the vacuum truck dump. So one of the things we're looking at is modifying part of the plant. And we just talked about that at an 8 o'clock meeting this morning. So I'll let Andy and John talk a little bit about that and how that modification could potentially add something that's coming.
So our Vector, big giant 40-foot long thing with a tank on it.
Vacuum truck.
I think it can hold close to 3,000 gallons of whatever we suck out of the sewer or hydro excavation or whatever. So if we're doing a hydro excavation, which is just sort of, we're doing test holes and things. We have a dump site for that. We can use the grid site, we can dump it over land and scoop it up and move it somewhere else. With sewer, there's no good way to empty this tank. We can connect a hose into a drain off, but the easiest way is to open up the hatch and just let it go into a space. We don't have a space that will collect. So we're thinking about reallocating the camper dump to a low, an unload zone for the vacuum. So we make, a fairly tall curb wall. You back up, you dump it, and it goes in, the plant takes it, they can recycle it, they can bring it in sludge holding tanks. And this prevents us from driving all the way up to Anson Madison to dump that vacuum. That's an expense, that's time, that's stopped work while we're, trying to do a job, doing our cleaning. So in my eyes, that would be a better allocation, and we can test drive it. We can set up concrete waste blocks, seal them off, test the idea out before we had the full
Could we suspend the service until we get something fixed the way we want it? So I think, I mean, once we stop it, we'll let it start again, I suspect, but.
We essentially have, when we did the check, the checks.
You know, people would have accepted that with not too much.
Yeah, people have seen the road, it's just about back to normal, so they started coming down and looking.
So, yeah, but it's kind of how I get it, I get it, I really do, guys.
I mean, is there another manhole or something near the plant where somebody might be able to drive in, discharge if they're not in that primary way? I mean, so there are things we can still look at to try to facilitate this sort of thing that may make it less burdensome on us and really not blocking the way of fire apparatus or any kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if we can find a way to get people in and out more efficiently and actually, restrict access a little bit with like an automatic gate, the cost to treat the wastewater is nothing, I guess. So those are the two big things, get people in and out.
I understand personnel, but I think we should look into it, but again, one person on the board, go ahead and see something.
So, okay, so if you charge a fee, right? You're gonna have somebody standing there picking up the money, right? How many people, when they learn that there's gonna be a fee, are gonna drive all the way in there, whether they can use something else that they don't have to come off interstate to do it? Just wondering.
Go do it, you could do it a little like they do with these remote pumps with gas, kiosk, you wanna do it? This, and the last, they open up and do what they gotta do, got the answer credit card only. Now, I understand this is work that I get it, so maybe that's part of the process headed to 2025 to consider. I think you should charge for it, so I don't have a problem with that, but we are in the environmental business. And this is a vacation land state, that people come here to do things. If we can help not put stuff in the environment, that's, I think we have a responsibility for it.
So tell me how much money this is gonna cost us every year out of our budget to do this. Free gratis service to people who don't live here. We're asking the ratepayers always to come up with more money. Wait a minute. Let's stop it and find out what this is costing us. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can put something together based on some sort of estimates on the number of vehicles that come in, average discharge amount, the amount of time it takes for us to be on station. So somebody knocks on the door, you go open the door, what do you need? Oh, then discharge that, okay? Oh yeah, you've been here before, yeah, many times. Yeah, no problem, because you're familiar with them, you know the deal. They're gonna do a great job. You don't even have to pay attention to them in some cases. As far as the financial bits go, I recall that early on when we merged, one of the issues was petty cash down at the wastewater treatment plant and trying to manage all that. And we summarily ended it at that point, just because it was never going to be worth it. So the only thing I could see there for taking money or paying would be a Venmo, so you take a picture and you get the app and you say, I want to donate $10 to the utility district. We take the $10. It's all digital. Nobody has to take any money. It's kind of an honor system. Looking at the responses we got from other utilities, the highest amount of people were charging $25 down in Rockland, and the best sewer district in the state, according to them, anyway, in Brunswick, is $20. Yeah, this is an online form. So you get a lot of responses, and then Sanford was $10. So I would say that if we had to spend an hour with somebody, it'd be closer to $50. For somebody who's a veteran and has been there before and is expert at moving trailer, and that's probably nothing to us. So, but we can put something together for you, so we can back to you. It's a good question.
Good discussion. Good.
My concern goes back a little bit to what you said up earlier, is not the money, it's not the concern. It's being able to move around, you got more people down there, you got more people parking down there and moving around, the time to go out there and do that. And then it's hard for them to turn around and back in and everything else. Those are the questions that really need to be answered. To me, like you said, the less than $1,000 on the actual disposing of the waste and everything else. But how do we address the issues where you got double the amount of people parking over there now? You got the driving, and it's hard to get around in that place and everything else. And how do you get rid of the stuff? So to me, that's issues we need to have answered on that stuff. And until we can really answer that, we should think of, to me, I certainly need to shut down, but if we come up with answers to how to do that, to be able to move it to a different location for the public, and again, if the public is reaching, is the out of towners coming through, it's not the people in Augusta coming through.
Anything else?
We are, we've used environmental friendly and everything. There are laws that prohibit people from doing direct discharge. Nobody sees us moving. It's against the law to do that. But we are a business too. We've been raising the rates and people are getting away with not having to pay anything and they don't belong to, they don't get a monthly bill like we do. Our ratepayers are paying for that, and the people that have a business of cleaning up these septic waste, they bring it in and they don't have to pay anything. Just something out of balance. And, if we could find out some of the other cities and towns in Maine or out of state, what they're doing, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we ought to be able to make them accountable for what the ratepayers have to pay. That's just my thought, right? As we start the discussion, it's a lot longer stuff to do.
So I'm hearing you folks, right, after this conversation, we'll summarize the findings we got from our informal survey, take a look at some turning radius, how we might allow a vehicle to come in and out, and whether or not the proposed changes to accept our back door, basically clean and grease and some nasty stuff, to see if that might align and make it simpler for folks to come and go, and also not impair our operations like it does today, and bring that back in September. Was that seem reasonable? Okay.
Appreciate the discussion. I know it's, I really appreciate what you said, but I do have to ask all the questions and the top answers sometimes.
Yeah.
But you can't, we're vacation land, we're the capital city. I get it, but it's fact, it's real, I get it, it's real life, but we're in the service business, we're in environmental business.
Well, and the nice thing about conversations like this and having recorded them is tomorrow we can put the link up to this online, and then folks who call or folks who have called, we can direct them to this conversation and say, if you have anything you want to add, then please let us know. Shoot me an email, text, or come to the next meeting in September and we'll talk about it.
Well, I used to look in the camera and look at the people and say, I don't have a crystal ball, call me up, send me an email. I'd like to hear from you, if you've got a problem with this, or tell us about it.
Good idea. Let's put a little thing on the website and make note of, we've got some discussion going on, get some input, ask for input. I think we can come up here, just communication. Coming up next, so we can ask, we can do that. So, okay. Anything more on this policy review?
Yep.
Appreciate all the input, good discussion. This is why we do these things. Okay, Meredith, you're up.
She's muted.
You're muted.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
we got it.
Hey, all right. Oh, my word. I'm going to go I'm going to go buy a trailer. I mean, a camper.
Thanks, Meredith.
Yeah, I'm going to drive up. Okay, guys, we've got a few things in the pipeline right now. One is the summer newsletter that is going to be going. Actually, I think it's gone to Brian in the last half hour or so here. So see, I've been busy with God business. And the other thing, we're starting to talk about the October planning meeting. Hard to believe. And then we have attached to your board package, I believe in the end, was the digital report. I don't think that we need to necessarily go through it all, but I think maybe the executive summary piece of it would be appropriate to just point out a few different things. And then I want to have a celebration, if you will, in that this past quarter two, for the very first time, Brian and I've sort of had a fun little goal for Facebook to reach 1,000 fans. And Brian, you have done it. You have broken the 1,000 fan mark. We have 1,010 fans and growing. Anyway, we've had some fun with that. I hope you guys are all watching our Facebook. I have some water trivia, but we also use it to talk about emergencies or road closures or different situations that are going on in the field. It's just a nice piece. It works well. It refers back and forth to our website. So basically we did see the website decreased in traffic. However, people are more engaged, meaning that, those that are there are spending time in really looking at our content. We had the highest traffic during the second quarter on April 22nd and June 24th. Going to guess that we probably had something going on there, or our number one social media post for this time period was about our interns. As usual, people love to respond and see people, local people they might know. And in the third quarter, we've been running a picture of Randy's dog, so we'll have to see how that does next time. And no surprise, we're seeing more visitors coming into our website on a mobile device. That will just continue to grow over the course of time. We track our top 10 pages every quarter. This particular quarter, rates showed up in there, as it probably will for a long time, but that's a great place for it. The following pages, I would invite you all to, quickly take a spin through. And on page 9, Andy, which is the last page, I think, of the report. Yes, last page of the report just shows the top posts. And we'll need to do an update to remind ourselves about, we did an update today telling people how to watch tonight's meeting. We'll want to continue to repeat that. But our interns out there was our top report, and the other ones were the fun pipe repair. That was the 24-inch pipe repair that the guys did. And then the day that Brian took everybody and Mike took everybody out to lunch. Does anybody have any questions?
No, this is Brian Meredith, but I can see where this is going. That tomorrow morning, Randy's gonna come in and say, see how many likes you got for taking us out to lunch, that this could be a more frequent proposition.
I expected to do that.
Just to drive website.
It's going to lead to more lunches.
I expected it.
I understand how this is going.
Oh, Randy.
I have a question on my planning calendar here that's on this thing. It says we have a meeting October 21st and we have a meeting October 23rd. We're going to combine meetings to one meeting, right?
Yeah, that's your prerogative if you want to. This is just the way.
So the question is, what's the night that we have is the 23rd, Randy, that we have the places?
That's a Wednesday.
Yes.
23rd of Monday, so 23rd will be a Wednesday. Correct.
So my question to everybody here is, do we want a Monday night meeting and a Wednesday night meeting? Or because last year we started in the middle of the week, whenever we did it. Yeah, I remember when we did it. What happened? So we had a meeting and then we went right into the, because we had a meeting and dinner or all we did that. But if you want 2 meetings that week, we can do it. So it's just input from you guys.
Basically, again, what that would be doing is, because the presentation of the budget was coming in on the 21st, to give the board members a couple of days, all the updates, and then you were going to take it into the planning meeting. So I just think it'd be a better preparation having that.
I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. Just
I'll be
choice. So we're gonna keep the dates as they are.
Okay.
So we'll have 2 meetings that week.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a Monday night meeting here. And then
Okay.
we'll have the next Wednesday night meeting at the Civic Center, and we purely the planning session, and I get it. And since we're doing the budget early, I think Rob is correct. It makes sense that might be able to, then as we get a chance to come Wednesday night with something really we don't like to see or we love, whatever, talk about it. Rather than just see it then, so we'll be a little more prepared, so that's good. Good, okay, so 2 meetings,
And
answer the questions.
is there any other, the past year's format where we give a brief synopsis of our history and some of that, is that too wordy, too long, just right? I don't know where you guys are at. You've heard it about 20
I
times.
know,
It depends on if there are new people.
So when new people come, I like it, but
Hmm.
I'd rather have the planning session this year, especially where we put the budget for change. We can really talk about some things and I hope to have some people from Trunkline there from other towns. And, you know, when somebody says, hey, we got $2 million, we only need to drop it. Let's talk about that. And since we got all these tools now, well, that's what it's going to impact if we do that. We can actually talk about those kind of things. So maybe that makes sense.
Mhm.
Everybody? Okay. So history, I don't think we need to go as high as Meredith. I mean, a little bit of input from you on that, I guess. Do we need a whole big thing on history or a quick brief?
I think that it's nice to have, whether we spend time necessarily on it. Again, that's, some years we have a lot of new people that are coming in from the various councils.
You're gonna find this year that the city manager's gonna, here, I've talked to him a little bit. I suspect we'll see some new faces this year. He seems to be able to rally the troops pretty well. I mean, he's not that anything but past, but Jared's pretty good at that. And so I think it's always good when city councilors that have been city council for a while get to hear. I mean, we get a whole bunch of us that have been in. I think it's good to hear about it. So maybe we can make it minimized, but I think we should.
Yeah, we'll look at it, see if we can trim it down, but it's a good thing to remind people, you know, who you guys really are, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page as you launch into the budget and other issues. Okay.
The planning session is never televised, right?
It has not been, but there's no reason why we couldn't bring the owl and record it. It's very easy to do that.
I think it'd be great for the ratepayers to understand and see all the different.
I'm certainly okay with that. Again, it's been, I feel we're now controlling our own destiny with this setup. I've made some good, but I like it. I just like the whole flavor of how this works. And if we can do more of that, I want more of it. I just think it's more we put out for people. That way, because nobody here is doing anything behind. It's all unrelated here. So, yeah, if we can do that, that'd be great. I like this. Meeting with myself.
This setup is incredible.
I can actually see stuff, I can do it. Although Mandy Began all the time up there. I don't know if it's showing. I guess we're all Mandy Began, but again, this is not, those things we can fix and modify as we go forward. So I think it's been pretty successful. So let's move on to so Meredith, we all set? With Meredith?
I am. Anybody have any questions?
All good, thanks Meredith.
Thank you.
Now it's time for Mr. Allen. Thanks, Char.
Right. I'm gonna bail. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. We identified 4 people to do 360 reviews on. We've completed 2. We've got the 3rd one in process. It's about half complete right now. And we'll start the 4th one in September. And that's where you guys get the input for Brian.
And Ryan, and so on contraction in October, we always tell him whether he's saying, you know, he's gonna think about something else. That's in the connotation contract. We gotta say that every time. So that's public knowledge. So we did that.
Okay. We got that?
Yes.
Behind us. So we have some open positions, 2 utility worker ones. There has been an offer made and accepted.
Excellent.
So making progress there. There's 2 other candidates that we're talking with. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we will make an offer and have someone else accept. Wastewater treatment plant, I'll talk to you about the mechanic, assistant mechanic and the lab tech. What we're posting is an operator position because we think we have some internal people that might be interested in those roles. So we're gonna bring someone on board as an operator, get them trained up, and then maybe some other people move to those roles. So
Good idea.
so I just wanted you to understand that if you see something, that's what we're doing, okay?
Appreciate that.
The prep on the union contract we've done, just waiting for the union to engage. Health insurance options, we're prepared to talk to Brian about that, but he was on vacation, so we decided to wait until we got back so we could really get in and talk up. Personnel policy manuals, we're just making adjustments as we're making changes throughout the year. It's just more miscellaneous review and clarifications, it looks like right now. And I always like to talk about communication loops in our personal development plans with those managers that we're doing 360 evaluations. Part of those is to incorporate those communication loops. So that's all I have to do.
Any questions for Alan? Hearing none. Well, let's see. Has anybody called in for public comments? I haven't seen anything on the board there. Anybody knocked on the door? No, apparently not. So I would say that this public comment is over. And I don't know if Brad Sawyer, you guys ready? Another trustee to adjourn the meeting. Go ahead.
It's a great honor to take the place of Mr. Sawyer at this time. And we wish to see him back here very quickly so he can get back to his job. I move to this body, stand adjourned.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Well done.
I'll talk to you.
This is one of our late meetings, behind the stockhouse, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, so this whole format is what conducive to some better discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, I'm glad you came. Yeah, thanks for having me.